Hello and welcome to Narrowcast Boxing. It's June 19th, 2019. In this episode, I'm going to be discussing several fights from this past weekend, starting with Tyson Fury versus Tom Schwartz. This was really a showcase fight for Fury. It was a total mismatch, as expected. Schwartz was busted up badly in the second round, and he really took a beating. Like I said, this was a pretty pathetic mismatch. We knew that going into it. I couldn't really help but feel bad for Schwartz, even though this is what he signed up for. He really took a lot of punches. Uh, there's really nothing else to say about this fight. It's what was expected. I thought it might have went a few more rounds because Fury tends to box, but he was just on such a higher level than Schwartz. It would have been pointless for it to go further than it did. Hopefully Fury is in a competitive fight in the near future. Moving on to the World Boxing Super Series Cruiserweight semifinals, we had Yunier Dorticos versus Andrew Tabiti. It ended with Yunier Dorticos winning by 10th round knockout. He landed a big right hand in an exchange and knocked Tabiti unconscious. I called this fight wrong. I thought that Tabiti would be able to outbox Dorticos, and he did manage to do so for the first 3 rounds, in my opinion, but was shut out on my scorecard after that. I think I fell into the trap where I was thinking that Tabiti was better than he actually was. His style reminds me so much of Floyd Mayweather Jr. that I wanted to see the things that Floyd does from him, but there really is only one Floyd Mayweather Jr. I could see things that Floyd might do if he were fighting someone similar to Dorticos. For example, I was hoping that Tabiti would throw a lead left hook, but he never once did. Tabiti was very tentative. He basically waited for Dorticos to engage before he threw punches. And he also held a lot in this fight. Overall, I thought that Dorticos looked pretty basic in his approach, just applying a lot of pressure and looking to outwork and outland Dorticos. Outland Tabiti. This proved to be an effective strategy. Dorticos was so much bigger physically. I did like that Tabiti adjusted in the 8th round or so and decided to fight more toe-to-toe. Prior to that, he was moving probably too much. I think that it was what he had to do, but he was ultimately outgunned. Tabiti showed that he's a fairly limited fighter offensively, and Dorticos was better in exchanges. With that said, Dorticos will be moving on to the final of the World Boxing Super Series. Before I talk about the other fight on that card, I'd like to quickly mention Josh Warrington versus Kid Galahad. This was for a world title at 126 pounds and turned out to be a split decision win for Josh Warrington. The judges had it 116 to 113 and 116 to 112 for Warrington, with the other judge having it 115 to 113 for Galahad. I only ended up watching 3 rounds from this fight. There was a ton of holding, and I decided that after the Tabiti versus Dorticos fight, I really couldn't stomach any more holding, so I shut it off. I heard people saying that the judge's decision was poor, but I honestly don't care enough about this fight to go back and watch it and give my opinion. Hopefully we see Josh Warrington in a unification against Leo Santa Cruz or somebody like that. Moving on, Mairis Briedis versus Krzysztof Glowacki. This was once again in the World Boxing Super Series Cruiserweight semifinal. I don't know if these two ended up fighting for a world title. There was some back and forth between sanctioning bodies. It doesn't really matter anyway. Overall, this was a pretty ridiculous fight. The first round was a feeling out process, nothing really between either fighter. In the second round, the fight really devolved into chaos. The fighters tied up, and Briedis elbowed Glowacki across the chin after taking a punch to the back of the head and knocked Glowacki down, which appeared to hurt him at the very least. The referee told Glowacki to get up, which he did. Briedis then went on to knock Glowacki down with 15 seconds or so left in the round. They resumed fighting for about 6 seconds left in the round. The bell rang, but Robert Byrd, the referee, didn't hear it, and the bell was ringing for a good 10 seconds after the round should have been stopped. Briedis knocked Glowacki down once again before the round was finally stopped. In round 3, Glowacki was knocked down again in an exchange, and the fight was waved off. This was a very dubious ending to this fight. Robert Byrd, I will say, is usually a good referee. There are plenty of other referees who are far worse, in my opinion, than he is. This type of result, unfortunately, does happen in boxing from time to time. A recent example of this is Joshua Buatsi versus Ronald Quinlan, where Buatsi hurt Quinlan badly while hitting on the break, but nothing was ultimately done about this. It's a tough break for Glowacki. Maybe the fight will be deemed a no decision or a rematch will be ordered, but it usually is what it is in situations like this. So anyway, that's all I have to say about the fights from this past weekend. I will be previewing a couple of fights for this upcoming weekend in my next video, so stay tuned for that. And as always, like, comment, subscribe, and I'll talk to you soon.